points from Joel Embiid, the MVP, to get it done and overcome the game that we have all been waiting for from, what's his name, Kendrick Perkins?
Oh, Big Body Brunson.
Oh, yes, from Big Body Brunson. 39 points, 13 assists. But read the sweatshirt, Stephen A. It says New York or nowhere as Philly tries to even the series.
I like that.
And this one has it all. Star power, multiple Hall of Famers. Both teams looking to make deep playoff runs.
Playoffs are a different level. Every possession matters.
Take the fork in the road and follow your path and let it be known that you're in a zone and you're going to fight to be on the throne.
Getting chippy. You know, it's the playoffs.
We understand what's at stake for Sunday.
Just let it be sown.
I'm not going to quit. You know, I want to win.
It's 50 for Joel Embiid.
They responded. Now we got to respond.
That's why I'm headed to the top and set you on the road.
Welcome to NBA Countdown, presented by Chime.
Hey, welcome to our Los Angeles studios. We are here to get you set for Game 4 between the Knicks and 76ers. The Hall of Famer, Mr. Michael Wilbon. Who gets the title of mayor of governor of New York today? Is it the champ, Kendrick Perkins? Is it the legend, Stephen A. Smith? He's Adrian Wojnarowski. Stephen A., it's a special day today. Why?
Yeah, it's a very special day. It's when the Knicks go up 3-1, baby. It's when they go up 3-1 in this series and we get ready to close it out at the Garden. That's why it's a special day, Wilbon.
Well, that may be true. It may be, but when you score 50, we start the show with you. Yeah, this was a 50 piece. Joel Embiid is today's money moment, brought to you by Chime. The 76ers got the win in Game 3 behind his first 50-point performance in the playoffs. And man, oh man, he was efficient. He was the first player in NBA history to put up 50 in the playoffs with fewer than 20 shot attempts. Of course, it helped that it was a chippy game. He went 19 for 21 from the free throw line. When I say chippy, I mean that when Tom Thibodeau was asked about the antics, that was the word that was used in the game, he had to clarify on which instance that the reporter was talking about, Stephen A. So let's take a look at your fight factor meter. What are you expecting here today?
I'm not expecting a fight. They're not stupid. You know, you're going to get yourself ejected. You don't want that. This is a playoff series. Obviously, the Philadelphia 76ers, in all seriousness, have an opportunity to tie this series up. Anytime you got Embiid, look at the way that he looked. You can make something happen, especially with Tyrese Maxey as his sidekick, no doubt about that. You're not going to get yourself ejected, so I don't think it's going to be any fisticuffs or anything like that, but it is going to be some intensity, some physicality, and that may be all that's required to derail Joel Embiid because we know that his health is severely compromised. I expect a physical game. I expect a lot of grit on both sides, but a fight and all of that, I'm not worried about that. They know better. They ain't that stupid.
I expect hamburgers. I expect hamburgers.
I thought it was cheesesteaks.
Nah, it's hamburgers because they got beef. They got beef in this in a good way. And yes, we know how dominant Joel Embiid has been on one leg, but Tyrese Maxey is averaging 31 points on 51% shooting. Somebody has to shut that water off. I'm looking at OG Anunoby, one of the most versatile, if not the most versatile defenders in the league on the perimeter. Can he take on the challenge? But this is what it's made for right here. New York versus Philly, we got smoke.
You know, we can't expect Joel Embiid to have put up another 50 today. And that doesn't happen often. Hardly ever happens. I remember Michael Jordan doing it against the... It doesn't need to, Stephen A., and Philly has to know that. Nick Nurse and his staff have to know that. Listen, Buddy Hield, who hasn't made an open shot yet in this series, is going to have to do that. Tobias Harris, who I know has defensive responsibilities that are very serious, is still going to have to give him more than 8 or 9 points in a game. Kelly Oubre's actually been doing that the last couple of games, giving them open shooting. It's going to have to be an ensemble team effort. And where should that effort be happening more easily? In Philadelphia, at home. We are reminded often that role players are better at home. Well, okay. They're at home. It's time. Support Embiid. Don't expect him to have anything near 50, and Philadelphia should win this game and even this series today.
Well, it would help if they're able to have Mitchell Robinson. Obviously, we saw him in that last game suffer a left ankle sprain after he got tangled up. That's how we'll put it nicely with Joel Embiid. Woj, what are the Knicks' plans for him for Game 4?
Mitchell Robinson has been ruled out now for Game 4. I had been told he was warming up with the intent to play today, but he can't go. And that left ankle, the Knicks were angry about that. Joel Embiid flagrant 1 foul that they thought should have been a flagrant 2, should have been an ejection. Well, they're going to be even angrier today because they're without Mitchell Robinson, and now they've got to rely on Isaiah Hartenstein to play even a bigger role now in trying to slow down Joel Embiid.
Because when you're looking at the backups, you're looking now at Jericho Sims, Precious Achiuwa. This is a huge blow to the Knicks, Stephen A.
It's a huge blow. Those 6 fouls, it's an additional rebound and shot blocker. There's no way to deny that. But now I got to lean on my man Big Perk, and I got to lean on his suggestion yesterday. Take Anunoby and put him on Joel Embiid, since Joel Embiid doesn't want to play down low with his back to the basket, requiring him to exert more lift with that left leg, that left knee bothering him so much. He wants to be out on the perimeter. Let somebody like Anunoby be out there against him, who's smart enough not to pick up 2 fouls in 5 minutes and stuff like that. Let him try. You got to try something if you're Tom Thibodeau. But I'm sick over this.
But if you're the Knicks fan base, don't get discouraged. This has been their story all season long. Next man up. You talk about Jericho Sims, Precious Achiuwa, right, coming in, filling in.
I like Precious.
Yeah, in the backup minutes. But also, Hartenstein plays some great defense. Joel Embiid just had better offense, okay? He just have to stay out of foul trouble. I think we'll see more of Tom Thibodeau adjustments for sending double teams at Joel Embiid and say, you know what, somebody else got to beat him.
Sixers 55% from the field, 48% from three-point range, 85% from the free throw line in Game 3. That cannot happen again today if the Knicks are going to win this game.
Not to mention it was one of Joel Embiid, if not his best jump shooting game of his career, certainly one of them, and you had a front row seat to it, Stephen A. And this man, the most improved player in the league, Tyrese Maxey, also doing everything he can for this Philadelphia 76ers team as they look to eat. He has been diagnosed with Bell's palsy. You see him messing with his eye a little bit there. He said he started feeling this before the play-in game, but said, quote, "I'm not a quitter, so got to keep fighting." He said he's not using this as any excuse, and certainly his 50-point performance was evidence of that. And with that, it's time now for our big man moment. It's brought to you by ESPN Bet, the official sports book of ESPN. Kendrick, Joel Embiid dominated in that Game 3. What did you see from him, particularly from beyond the arc?
Well, Tom Thibodeau has been tossing and turning and losing a lot of sleep because of this man and that 50-piece. But I want you to look at how it happened. Look at these plays right here. Stretching the floor, being able to shoot the 3. Hartenstein. This is great defense. Stick hand, contest. Joel Embiid shot clearly. Great shot maker. And you can't leave your feet because he's so great at getting to the free throw line. Watch this play right here. Great job by the old school Kyle Lowry of pulling the pick and roll. Look at this. Look at this. What else is big body Brunson supposed to do?
Great defense.
Great contest, great defense, but great offense. Joel Embiid, 23 points off of jump shots in the last 3 in Game 3, most in the playoff game in his career.
And the other thing I'm looking at with that is, remember, he's not banging inside in the same way, protecting maybe his knee even a little bit more if he is playing from beyond the arc like that. So potentially that could help Joel Embiid. I just don't know if we're going to see that kind of performance replicated here, but it could. ESPN Bet is the official sportsbook of ESPN. New users get $100 in bonus bets for making any sportsbook bet. You can check out Big Perks, Big Men Parlay exclusively in the ESPN Bet app. The face petting is not included. If you want to ride with Perk or any of the other big men, download today. Kendrick, you said that with no Mitchell Robinson, potentially they could be looking toward OG Anunoby a little bit more defensively.
We need him to stand out.
Oh, you're going with a with a front row seat to the performance you'd been waiting for from Jalen Brunson. 39 points, 13 assists in Game 3.
No question about it. It was really, really good to see him do what he did. But do you know he's only 4 of 15 on floaters in this series? This is after hitting 166 floaters during the regular season. I expect that to improve this game.
Maybe today was the night that turns things around. Let's go, though, from the East to the West, because last night, for the first time in 499 days, the Lakers, they defeated the Denver Nuggets, snapping what was an 11-game losing streak and avoiding a series sweep. 4 of the 5 Lakers starters scored at least 20 points, led by, of course, LeBron James. 30 points, by the way. 19 30-point performances are the most ever by a player in an elimination game. And, of course, Anthony Davis, also monster 25-point, 23-rebound performance. But speaking of trying to avoid sweeps, the Suns. The Timberwolves are up 3-0. Phoenix looks to avoid being swept in a best-of-7 series for the first time since the 1989 Conference Finals. I cannot say this enough. This was not a team that was built to lose in the first round of the playoffs, Mr. Wilbon, let alone not win a single game. What would a sweep mean for this franchise?
But it was built to do that. This proves again, you can't throw together big names, and this big three, of Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal has been anything but that. They are not big enough. They don't have a roster. It's fatally flawed, the roster, with not having a game managing person to control that team and organize it. You call it point guard most of the history of the NBA. I don't care how big the names are. I don't care how many rings or Hall of Fame. They're inadequate. And Minnesota is just better in every conceivable way than the Suns. And you know what? They can't run it back with this team, Malika. They just can't.
Well, but they may have to. That is the thing. They are hamstrung with this.
Oh, they're not hamstrung with trades.
They are hamstrung with this roster. This is why we have Adrian Wojnarowski here on the desk, because usually in times like this, when you can't largely make a obvious roster move, there's someone that you turn to, potentially a fall guy in all of this. What is Frank Vogel's future in Phoenix?
Yeah, and despite all the roster limitations that Mike just described, it's increasing belief around the league that Frank Vogel's job is in peril. If this team loses, especially as abruptly as they might in a sweep, as dispirited as they looked in Game 3, when you have this kind of a payroll, these kinds of expectations, you've got to not only show more in the first round, you got to get out of the first round. Losing in 6 last year to Denver in the second round cost Monty Williams his job. You've seen Matt Ishbia, the owner. He has made rapid change in his short tenure as owner. Frank Vogel's job very much may be in jeopardy now.
Respectfully, he will deserve it if they go out the way they have looked, number one. And number two, remember, he was never their first choice. They had interest in others, particularly Ty Lue. They just weren't available, so they settled on Frank Vogel.
It's interesting that the Timberwolves, though, they lost to the Suns every time in the regular season. And now they have turned it all the way up, and they are on the verge of eliminating them in a sweep. I want to go from one team that wasn't built necessarily to lose in the first round to another that just so happens to involve another member of the Nets Big Three, the Clippers. Actually, 2 of the Nets stars are in this series. Of course, Kyrie Irving has been incredible here for the Dallas Mavericks. He had 21 points in Game 3. 19, remember, came in the second half. But Stephen A., you have your eye on someone for the Clippers that isn't Kawhi, that isn't Paul George, that isn't James Harden. What did you see from Russell Westbrook?
Inexcusable behavior. That's what I saw. And I don't know why this isn't being talked about enough, to be quite honest with you. I was of the mindset that Russell Westbrook deserved to be suspended for today's game. That's how appalling his game was. Now, I've been raving about Russell Westbrook since he arrived in Los Angeles. He's been a godsend for the Clippers as far as I'm concerned. He's an energizer bunny. But what he did the last game, I want y'all to go back and reflect on what transpired in Game 3. Look at this foul right here. You knock the guy clear upside the head. You sit up there and you come down on Luka Doncic in the back. That play right there, you could have separated his shoulder.
The names and that he's in company with, who would ever thunk it? Jalen Brunson, not the fastest, but you know what he is? He's smart. He's shifty, he knows how to play, and he's made big shots, and he's been experienced from his college days. What an unbelievable series. And anybody that says to me that college basketball is better, and I love college basketball, is better than the league, that game today will let you know what the NBA is all about.
Yeah, it was a chippy matchup. I think going into the fourth, we saw 10 lead changes, 10 different ties. It was really fun to watch. Let's talk about the other team. It was a messy third quarter for Philly. There was a lot of turnovers there, and there was a point in the fourth, I want to say it was about a 5-minute span, where they didn't score a single point. So if Philly wants to get back in this series, what needs to change for them?
The toughness factor, Jacqueline. Again, as I mentioned before, you can't allow them to continue to get offensive rebound, not giving you an opportunity to score. And I think Tyrese Maxey has to ramp it up a little bit. They got to try to get to him. I know they're trying to move the ball around and find different guys. And Batum has not knocked down those three-point shots. And they got to get to the rim with a little more physicality. There was some key blocks as well by the New York Knicks. So the New York Knicks turning Philadelphia the way they played game on its head, and they became the aggressor. And you see right there, 0 for 5 in the fourth quarter. If you want to beat a team who's the number 2 seed in the East, who had a great season with a great player like Jalen Brunson, that from the former MVP, I won't be the MVP this year, or the reigning MVP, cannot happen. Nick Nurse has got to figure this situation out, but you have to give it to the Knicks. They brought it. They came with physicality. They didn't worry about what happened in Game 3. And they actually took, Game 3, and they took this game. They took this game from Philadelphia because it looked like Philadelphia, the way the Knicks were shooting the basketball, had this game in hand, and it just did not happen. And you know what? The last thing I'll say is this. I don't know if it was a Knicks game or a Philadelphia game. There were so many Knicks fans there. Every time the Knicks did something, if I turned my head for a second, I said, did Philadelphia score? And it'd be the Knicks. I'm like, wow, I can't believe that in Philadelphia that would be allowed to happen.
Yeah, we saw a lot of Knicks fans. We also, of course, saw Don Staley, big 76ers fan, being shown in the crowd quite a few times, a legend there in Philly. I want to talk more about Joel Embiid because we know he's dealt with a lot of injuries. He just dropped 50 in Game 3, also dealing with a Bell's palsy diagnosis right now as well. Are you concerned at all for his longevity? Because we saw him grab that knee a couple of times, and I'm nervous watching that, right? Anytime he tweaks his knee, I'm like, oh gosh, what's going to go on with Joel? Are you concerned at all for his physicality to come back from this 3-1 deficit against this Knicks team?
I certainly am. It's going to be a 7-game series if Philadelphia has any chance of winning the game and winning the series. And you know what, Philadelphia, they're going to have to continue to assert themselves. You got to go to New York now. That crowd is going to be nuts. They got a chance to clinch this series. And you got to ride Embiid. He is certainly capable. And there was no Mitchell Robinson out there today. And Hartenstein didn't get a foul in the first half and had 5 in the third quarter. So Precious Achiuwa had to play. And they just could not find a way. But the others, the Josh Harts, the Anunoby, they picked it up defensively against Joel Embiid. So Nick Nurse has got to figure out how do you get Joel Embiid in this game, because you see right there, they're coming with doubles. The other guys have got to make shots. Harris, you got Kelly Oubre, obviously, Kyle Lowry is a champion. He's been there before, but Batum, he was key in making threes. That has not happened. New York has made adjustments, but again, you asked me about the physicality, and can Joel Embiid shoulder the load going forward? If he doesn't, they can't win. They cannot win without Joel Embiid, and it's hard to say that for the next 3 games that he's going to be physical enough or he's going to have enough in the tank to get it done. It's going to be tough. I like the Knicks. I can't believe I'm saying this. You see behind me, I got Allen, I got Doctor, I got Wilt, and I got to go with the Knicks. I can't believe it.
Yeah, Chris, I just want to talk more about Philly here because, again, they have never won a best-of-7 series when they're down 3-1, and this is a franchise that is really looking to get over that hump and win a championship, and they might get bounced here in the first round. You said you like the Knicks. Just expand on that for us.
Listen, I'll say this, Jack. Very few teams, other than I think LeBron, has come back from 3-1. It's literally impossible to come back when they have you like that. And again, the Knicks are going to get 2 home games out of this. And that's the other thing. So the Knicks have 2 games to clinch this series. And when you're down 3-1, it's just literally tough to come back game after game. Now, again, you're talking about a team with the reigning MVP. The question is, do they have enough around them? And it's, you know what? It's a 1-game series. I'm a big Laker fan. They're down to the Nuggets right now. You can say whatever you want. It's 1-game series. The next game on the schedule is the most important game on the schedule. You can't, sometimes when you're playing in games and you're down a bunch, you say, don't scoreboard watch. Don't look at it. Right now, don't series watch. It's game after game, adjustment after adjustment. But again, NBA history has shown that teams are down 3-1. It's 1, 2, 3, Cancun. Jacqueline, they're gone.
Cancun or the golf course, whatever you like. Chris Walker joining us here on HQ for a game 4 recap from the Knicks and the Sixers, where the Knicks now have a 3-1 series lead. Thank you so much, Chris. We appreciate it. And of course, taking a look at the remaining series schedule, Game 5 heads to the Garden on Tuesday. Game 6, if necessary, will be in Philly. And then if it goes to a Game 7, that will be Saturday in New York. All right, Nick Nurse at the podium right now after the loss. New York leads the series 3-1. Let's take a listen.
Got his share, but Precious came in there and got 4 and probably got his hands on 2 or 3 more. Certainly became a big factor in the fourth.
I guess like whether was there a moment in the second half where you were thinking about maybe getting Joel a little rest? I mean, what kind of been playing all the second half?
Yeah, I mean, he was feeling good and wanted to go. So I think it's, these games are all must win, and we didn't have a very good stretch when he was out in the first half, so we were willing to continue on.
To that point, Nick, I think both stretches this series where you played Joel and Brunson sat. Tonight they played you guys to a standstill. I think they might actually have won the minutes in game 2. I guess, why do you think you weren't able to capitalize with Brunson on the bench?
Well, we didn't shoot the ball very well tonight. And I thought once we got a 10-point lead, I think we turned it over 3 of the next 4 possessions. We had really great rhythm going, and it's almost like we took ourselves out of rhythm with those turnovers. I mean, we were really rolling there, and then it got a little difficult to find rhythm. And then, listen, we executed a lot of stuff that we were making the right reads on, and did knock some of those shots down. Missed a couple layups. There was some clunky possessions here or there, but that's playoffs. Both teams have those, but mostly just needed to knock a few of those in and finish a little tougher at the rim.
They put an Novi on Joel for a lot of the second half. How do you think that kind of messed with the offense, if any?